Byron McWilliams here with Billy Van Custom Knives in Odessa, Texas, and I've got something today in the mail that I want to show you, and I am super pumped about. I am a full-time pastor in Odessa, but I'm also a part-time, brand new knife maker. I started in January, and man, I've come a long ways. Thank you to some key people. Thank you to The Art of Craftsmanship. Thank you for what you've given to me, both through your YouTube videos. Thank you, Redbeard Ops, James Keaton. Thank you for what you've shared. Thank you, Token Knives. Thank you also to Brian House at Houseworks. I have been using a little 1x30 grinder, and I mean, it's just wearing me out. I am now building a Revolution 2x72 grinder, and I am very excited about that. I got my bundle in today. I have got my steel cut, and I will be working on building the rest of this grinder over the next few weeks. I am excited about it. Check this out, y'all. Does that not look good or what? Brian House, Houseworks. Thank you, man.
Oh, hey, what's happening there, YouTube? It's Brian House here for Housework, and today I am in a very clean and very organized studio. I have been really trying to keep up with all of the sales going on the website, and if you haven't been following along with that, we went live a couple of months ago with the Revolution 2x72 belt grinder project, and then as it evolved, we started selling laser cut steel parts and then hardware kits, and I got inundated with hundreds of orders, and it was quite a run. We really did not expect to have this many people ordering those kits, and thank you, by the way. You have changed my life, and for the better. Thank you so much. We are slowing down a little bit on sales, which is not a bad thing. I really feel like I needed some time to kind of catch up. I have since pretty much bought every nut and bolt and piece that McMaster-Carr and Bolt Depot has in order to build my kits for the Revolution 2x72. And I now have a cool, fancy hardware organizer that will sort of assist me in the process of making your hardware kits so I can get them shipped out. And that was kind of like a mad dash and trying to figure out if I'm getting the best deal, because spending as much money as I was at McMaster-Carr, I felt like there had to be some margin there that I wasn't getting. The cool thing about that was I made a video about that and talked about that and asked you guys, hey, I need help. And so many of you had reached out and said, send me the spreadsheet. I'll see what I can find. Also in the comments section, you guys all talked about Bolt Depot, and they turned out to be the best option, actually, after I kind of researched it, and for what I was buying, like say how many I was going to buy, Bolt Depot just really made the most sense, as far as quantities went and stuff. I still can't get everything from them. I can get a majority of the pieces and parts from them, but like the knobs and the spring and threaded rod and a couple other things, I just couldn't get through them, but not a big deal. It ended up saving about 10% on the overall cost of purchasing that hardware kit. So what I did was I actually added a couple more knobs in there so that now you get a knob to tighten down the work rest, the riser for the work rest, and then also you get a kind of a cool plastic knob for the tracking mechanism. Instead of using a bolt, there's actually like a legit knob now. So the margin in there, I took that margin and made the kit better. So I appreciate all of your hard work, everybody who helped me in that process, and I couldn't have done it without you. Also, that one real troublesome bolt that I could not find, that 3 1/4 inch 3/8 by 16 bolt, I ended up finding an alternative version of that on Bolt Depot's website. It's actually a button head version, which to me is fine. I think that is totally acceptable, and in fact, a little bit more of an elegant solution, so I kind of dig that as well. This week was a very busy week in regards to getting the Crossfire Pro. So the Crossfire Pro, if you're not aware, is a CNC plasma cutter, and it was like kind of an experimental thing for a while that Langmuir Systems put out in California, and I had ordered that dang thing, like, I don't know, sometime in November of last year. And this last week, I actually got the final package. So I was able to assemble it with my son Dexter, and we were able to produce some pretty decent cuts, like right straight away. There was a couple of little minor tweaks. I had some offsetting going on one of the axes, and it turned out that it was just a loose coupler. And again, that was a suggestion by someone who follows the channel, and I had sent him some, he has a Crossfire as well, the original Crossfire, and I sent him some pictures. I said, this is what's happening, and bang, he knew what it was, and we solved that problem, and we were up and running. Which is an amazing thing to me, by the way. It blows my mind how many people are watching this channel now and can actually genuinely want to help. And I really do want you to know I absolutely 100% appreciate all of that. Thank you so much. And in a broader sense of what's going on in the studio this week, being that it was slower in sales, I was able to move some things around. I moved the mill into a different spot because the Crossfire Pro now takes up a significant footprint here in the studio. So I wanted to kind of play around with the setup, and I've got that new fancy hardware bin, so I had to add that to the mix, and I feel like I've come up with a pretty decent sort of layout now in the studio where the workflow is actually happening pretty easily. I'm still I don't feel like the walls are kind of coming in on me, and which is a nice feeling. One of the upcoming projects I've got going on with the Crossfire Pro is in the studio I don't really have access to water. I actually have a sink where I can wash my hands and such, but I don't have any drains or anything like that. So I'm going to be setting up a bin to hold all the water that's in the table. And then I saw someone else on another YouTube channel. What they did was, it was kind of cool. They used a fountain pump and a filter, and then they would just pump the water out of the bin and then up into the water table. They would use the Crossfire, and then they would drain it back down into the bin. And what that did was, if they had a mixture, like some people use washing soda to sort of help get rid of the rust, for the corrosion problems that go on inside of water tables. And I thought that was super, there was a lot of ingenuity that was put together in that little build, so I'm going to do that. So I added a shelf underneath where the Crossfire Pro stand is. It's usually just wide open. There's nothing there. And last night I stayed late and welded up some scrap 2x2 that I had and put a shelf there so that now I can put the water bin down there and the pump. Probably move the air filter over to it too, and possibly set the plasma cutter itself up on that shelf. And what that will allow me to do is roll the plasma cutter out into the middle of the room, because it's on casters now. I actually went and got some casters for it. So you roll it all out, and then while it's cutting, if I want to do something kind of cool, I can film that process. Something a lot of you may not know about the filming process is that in order to get some cool angles, you have to actually have like 360-degree access all around whatever you're working on. So if you've ever wondered why, like, I put my work surface like right out into the middle of the room, and I don't shove my tools up against a wall. For the most part, they live there sometimes, but then I roll them out when I do my filming. So as I'm working on those things, I really take a lot of pride in the camera angles and the things that I'm doing, so that I can kind of share with you exactly what's happening. And in order to do that, you got to have all that space around all of your tools. Also this week, going back a ways on the Crossfire Pro, we hammered out those issues with the X and Y axes being off just slightly. And then we worked on the platen bracket, as you saw in the last video, and I got that all up and running. And I actually want to do a beta test run of those platen brackets with the Crossfire Pro and actually cut an entire 2-foot by 2-foot sheet. And I figure I can get about 16 of those out of a 2-foot by 2-foot sheet if all goes well. They will be cut out and then sold on the website in 16 runs, meaning I'll probably just make 16, and if they sell, great, I'll make more, but for the most part, I just want to run 16 to start. I think it's a cool solution. I also think that it's nice to be able to offer something that's custom made and designed by me, and then also cut and shipped by me to you guys, because a lot of you have built the Revolution, and if you're using angle iron and it works, great, just keep using it. But if you want something kind of different, I actually, as you saw in the last video, put 80 CRV2 on the faceplate of it. A lot of us knife makers, we have like pieces of 2-inch steel just laying around, and some scrap. If you've got an 11-inch piece, you could throw it on there, heat treat it and throw it on there, and it would be a nice hard surface for you to work against. So that will be an option. I will have that up on the website hopefully by the time this video goes live. I actually have to figure out SheetCam. It's a piece of software that you buy kind of separately, and what it does is it allows you to take your designs, and then it helps you create the most efficient use of whatever steel you're using. So that's kind of been my plan moving forward, is to come up with these projects that I can hopefully make custom pieces and then sell them on the website as a means to support all the work that I've got going on in here. I've also got a couple of other cool tools that I've been formulating in Fusion, so I'm thinking about offering those as well. I don't really know if it makes sense to actually make the tool itself or the tool holder itself, but maybe sell the DXF files or give them away. I don't know what, but we'll see how that's going to kind of play out in the near future here. I'm excited for everything that the plasma cutter brings to the workspace, because it allows me to prototype things a lot quicker that I didn't have access to before. And if I have an idea like this platen bracket, yeah, the first couple of rounds the design was off, but I was able to recreate it and then make it better. And I think if I was cutting it out of steel by hand, I wouldn't take the care, or I probably wouldn't care so much about it not being just right. I think I would just say, it's good enough, and just leave it at that, and not actually do anything else. I wouldn't actually like make the design any better. So that's something I wanted to kind of bring up about automating design, or automating the cutting process of things that actually facilitates you making the design better, because it's not such a huge pain in the butt to create the part. So two more subjects that I really want to cover, and then I will let you go. One of which is the Facebook forum that we started for DIY belt grinders and machines. Make sure you go out to Facebook. I'll put a link down below so you can find that. So many people have been writing in and showing off their builds and putting all their questions, and not just me, but others have been answering those questions, which really helps me out, because my time every day gets smaller and smaller and smaller with the amount of things I have to do. So to go on Facebook and answer those questions, or have someone answer it for me, makes a big difference in my day. And also other people can just go on there and learn about the build and things they might need to know. Most of those questions have been tracking related, by the way. So tracking can be a funky thing, but once you get it figured out, it's not too tough. The other thing is I have been approached by a very well-known maker and podcaster, and they would like me to start a podcast. So if you saw the poll that I put up on YouTube not too long ago, you knew that I was sniffing around to find out if any of you listen to podcasts. So if you didn't see the poll and you didn't answer it, do you? Do you even know what one is? Do you listen to them? Are you on the regular listener of podcasts? And I guess the last question would be, if I made a podcast, would you listen to it? The thing about video is it requires you to sit in front of a screen to listen to it. And I can blather on about nothing forever and ever, but it does require your visual attention as well as your hearing attention. So the concept of a podcast is actually pretty attractive to me, because I would be able to communicate through just an audio medium, and while you're working on your projects, maybe knife making or building something or doing whatever, or your morning commute even, you'd be able to pop in and listen to what I've got going on. So if that's something that interests you, let me know in the comment section. I would like to know. They've approached me. I would have a pretty decent cross-promotion coverage with them if I started the podcast, and I feel very strong about that medium. My other problem is I don't really know what I would talk about so much as would I want to have, say, a co-host or two co-hosts, because we could bounce things off of each other and collaborate during those sessions. And they're probably not even going to be that long, maybe 20 to 25 minutes is what I was thinking. So that leads me to the next question is, would any of you like to be on the podcast from a maker standpoint, or a creative person, or somebody who works with their hands, which is the overarching theme of the podcast itself? I would like to know, is that something you would want to join me on? I can't say for sure that our energy would work on a regular basis, so I'd like to kind of bring in people to interview and talk and see how the energy is. And if I gel with somebody or we gel together, then we would create sort of a kind of a long-term agreement where we would do the podcast together. So if you're interested in that, shoot me an email, brian@housework.us. There's a whole bunch of options as far as like applications go for interviews. So we don't have to be in the same room anymore. There's apps on your phone. We can record each other and all that and put it all together. It wouldn't eat up a ton of time. However, it would be a weekly commitment. So I would need someone to say every week, join me on my podcast. Or maybe it's every other week and we swap people out. I don't know. But that's what I've got going on, guys. So if you got something out of today's video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you click that little bell, you'll get a notification every time I upload something to YouTube. There are numerous ways to support my channel and everything I've got going on in my workshop here. By far, the best one is go out and buy the plans and the parts for the Revolution 2x72 belt grinder at housemade.us. You can also click the links below and go shopping on Amazon. I have an Amazon store that shows all the tools and all the projects that I've got going on. It's all broken down into easy to find sources, and that helps me out quite a bit. There's Buy Me a Coffee, there's Patreon, there's all kinds of things. Whatever you're comfortable doing, it would be greatly appreciated. Until the next time, guys, I hope to see you on the next video. My name is Brian House, and this has been Housework.